Ielts Writing Task 1 requires a rich and nuanced vocabulary. Here's an extensive list of words suitable for advanced or higher-level writing, along with their meanings and sample sentences. This list includes words that are useful for describing data trends, making comparisons, discussing processes, and articulating nuances in academic writing. Vocabulary with meanings and sample sentences. Abate, it is a verb, to become less intense or widespread. The storm began to abate after 3 days of heavy rain is a noun. The storm finally began to abate, allowing the rescue teams to start their work. After taking some medication, her headache started to abate. The protests did not abate despite the government's promises of reform. As the wildfire's intensity began to abate, firefighters gained control. His anger started to abate once he heard the full explanation. The doctor assured him that the pain would abate after a few days of rest. Their fears abated when they received news of the successful mission. The economic crisis showed no signs of abating in the near future. Once the winds abated, we continued our journey by boat. Her enthusiasm for the project did not abate, even after facing multiple setbacks. Accelerate, it is a verb, to increase in rate, amount, or extent. The pace of technological innovation continues to accelerate. The car began to accelerate as it merged onto the highway. Advances in technology continue to accelerate at an unprecedented pace. She decided to accelerate her studies to graduate a year early. The company implemented new strategies to accelerate growth. The falling rock seemed to accelerate as it tumbled down the cliff. They used an energy drink to accelerate their performance during the race. Efforts to combat climate change must accelerate to avoid catastrophic consequences. The roller coaster started to accelerate, making everyone's adrenaline spike. Medical research has been able to accelerate thanks to increased funding. As the deadline approached, the team had to accelerate their work to finish on time. Accumulate, it is a verb, to gather or collect. The company managed to accumulate a significant amount of data over the years. Over the years, dust began to accumulate on the forgotten books. They managed to accumulate a small fortune through wise investments. As snow continued to fall, it started to accumulate on the ground. The scientist wanted to accumulate more data before drawing any conclusions. Trash tends to accumulate quickly in busy urban areas. She decided to accumulate vacation days to take a long trip next year. Interest will accumulate on your savings if you leave it in the bank. The project failed to accumulate the necessary support from stakeholders. By the end of the day, stress seemed to accumulate from various sources. Leaves accumulate in the yard every autumn, requiring regular raking. Acute, it is an adjective, present or experienced to a severe or intense degree. There is an acute shortage of affordable housing in the city. She was admitted to the hospital with acute appendicitis. The patient experienced acute pain after the surgery. The economist warned of an acute financial crisis looming on the horizon. His acute sense of hearing allowed him to detect even the slightest sounds. There was an acute shortage of medical supplies in the disaster-stricken area. The acute angle in the diagram measured less than 45 degrees. Her acute intelligence and quick wit impressed everyone in the room. The doctor diagnosed him with acute bronchitis and prescribed antibiotics. The situation demanded acute attention and immediate action from the authorities. He felt an acute sense of loss after his beloved pet passed away. Adverse, it is an adjective, preventing success or development, harmful. The new policy had an adverse effect on small businesses. The medication had adverse effects that outweighed its benefits. They postponed the launch due to adverse weather conditions. The company faced adverse reactions from the public over its controversial ad campaign. Adverse market trends caused the stock prices to plummet. Despite the adverse circumstances, she remained optimistic about her future. The adverse impact of pollution on wildlife is a growing concern. The project was delayed by adverse legal challenges. The athlete's performance was hampered by adverse health issues. The report highlighted the adverse consequences of deforestation. His adverse attitude made it difficult for the team to work together effectively. Alleviate, it is a verb, to make, suffering, deficiency, or a problem, less severe. Efforts were made to alleviate the impact of the economic downturn. The new policy aims to alleviate the burden on low-income families. She took painkillers to alleviate her headache. The charity works to alleviate hunger in underdeveloped countries. Proper planning can alleviate many potential issues during the project. The doctor recommended physical therapy to alleviate the patient's back pain. Financial aid can help alleviate the cost of college tuition. They implemented measures to alleviate traffic congestion in the city. The support from friends helped alleviate his feelings of loneliness. Meditation and deep breathing exercises can alleviate stress. Installing air purifiers can help alleviate allergy symptoms. Allocate, it is a verb, to distribute, resources or duties, for a particular purpose. Funds were allocated for the construction of new schools. The government decided to allocate additional funds for education. Each team member was allocated specific tasks to complete the project. The company will allocate resources to expand its research department. We need to allocate more time for studying before the final exams. The budget committee will allocate money to different departments based on their needs. They plan to allocate part of their profits to environmental initiatives. The organizer will allocate seats based on ticket categories. It's important to allocate enough space for storage in the new office layout. The project manager must allocate tasks efficiently to meet the deadline. Funds were allocated to improve the community park and playground. Ample, it is an adjective, enough or more than enough, plentiful. The report provides ample evidence to support the claims. The hotel provided ample parking for all its guests. She had ample time to prepare for the exam. There was ample evidence to support the theory. The garden received ample sunlight throughout the day. His ample experience in the field made him the perfect candidate. The pantry was stocked with ample supplies for the winter. The large hall offered ample space for the event. They received ample support from the community for their project. The company provided ample training for new employees. The spacious kitchen had ample counter space for cooking. Anomalous, it is an adjective, deviating from what is standard, normal, or expected. The data showed an anomalous trend that puzzled researchers. The scientist noticed an anomalous result in the experiment's data. His behavior at the meeting was considered highly anomalous. The weather this summer has been quite anomalous compared to previous years. The astronomers observed an anomalous object in the night sky. The patient's symptoms were anomalous and did not match any known condition. The company's profits showed an anomalous spike last quarter. The geology team found an anomalous rock formation in the desert. The test scores were anomalous, suggesting a possible error in grading. The anomalous reading from the sensor prompted further investigation. Despite his anomalous appearance, he was a highly skilled performer. Apparent, it is an adjective, clearly visible or understood, obvious. The benefits of the new system were apparent to all. The difference in quality was apparent to everyone in the room. It became apparent that she was the most qualified candidate for the job. His discomfort was apparent from the look on his face. The mistake was apparent once the report was reviewed. Despite his apparent confidence, he was actually quite nervous. The benefits of the new policy were not immediately apparent. Her dedication to the project was apparent in her meticulous work. The reason for the delay became apparent after the investigation. There was an apparent misunderstanding between the two parties. The storm's impact was apparent in the damaged buildings and fallen trees. Approximate, it is an adjective, close to the actual, but not completely accurate or exact. The approximate cost of the project is $1 million. The approximate cost of the project was estimated to be around $50,000. She gave an approximate time of arrival, but it was subject to traffic conditions. The approximate weight of the package was 5 kilograms. He provided an approximate age for the ancient artifact, based on carbon dating. The weather forecast gave an approximate temperature range for tomorrow. The meeting is scheduled to start at 9 a.m., but the time is approximate. They agreed on an approximate number of attendees for the event. The building's height was approximate, as exact measurements were difficult to obtain. The approximate duration of the flight was 4 hours. He made an approximate guess at the number of jelly beans in the jar. Arbitrary, it is an adjective, based on random choice or personal whim, rather than any reason or system. The decision to close the office was arbitrary and lacked justification. The decision seemed arbitrary and did not consider all the facts. She picked an arbitrary number from the list without much thought. The arbitrary nature of the rules frustrated many participants. He made an arbitrary choice between the two options presented to him. The assignment of seats appeared arbitrary, causing confusion among the guests. The teacher's grading system seemed arbitrary to the students. The company implemented arbitrary deadlines that were difficult to meet. The judge's ruling was criticized for being arbitrary and unfair. They used arbitrary criteria to select candidates for the scholarship. The policy changes were perceived as arbitrary and not well explained to the employees. Attribute, it is a noun, a quality or feature regarded as a characteristic or inherent part of someone or something. Reliability is an essential attribute of a good manager. Her kindness is her most admirable attribute. He has a remarkable attribute for solving complex problems. The ability to communicate effectively is a valuable attribute in any profession. The detective attributed the crime to a professional gang based on the evidence. She attributes her success to hard work and perseverance. Intelligence is often attributed to both genetics and environmental factors. The team's victory can be attributed to their strong teamwork. The artist's unique style is an attribute that sets him apart from others. Honesty is a highly valued attribute in personal relationships. The decline in sales was attributed to changes in consumer preferences. Augment, it is a verb, to make something greater by adding to it, increase. The budget was augmented by additional funding from the government. They decided to augment their income by taking on freelance work. The chef used herbs and spices to augment the flavor of the dish. The company plans to augment its workforce to meet increased demand. He underwent surgery to augment his muscles with implants. The government aims to augment public transportation options in rural areas. She suggested using social media to augment their marketing efforts. The orchestra augmented its sound with additional brass instruments for the concert. The research team augmented their findings with data from multiple sources. They sought to augment their savings by investing in stocks. Education programs aim to augment students' knowledge and skills in various subjects. Benevolent, it is an adjective, well-meaning and kindly. The benevolent leader was admired by all. The benevolent donor quietly contributed to several charities without seeking recognition. Her benevolent nature led her to volunteer at the local animal shelter every weekend. The benevolent king was beloved by his subjects for his compassion and generosity. Their benevolent act of kindness towards strangers brightened many people's days. The benevolent organization provided free meals to homeless individuals in the community. He demonstrated his benevolent spirit by helping his neighbors during times of need. The benevolent gesture of donating blood can save lives. She established a benevolent fund to support underprivileged children's education. The benevolent teacher spent extra time tutoring students who were struggling academically. Their benevolent efforts to protect the environment included organizing beach cleanup events. Bolster, it is a verb, to support or strengthen. Measures were taken to bolster the economy. They decided to bolster their defense by recruiting experienced players. The company plans to bolster its marketing campaign with a new strategy. He used statistics to bolster his argument during the debate. They added extra supports to bolster the structure of the bridge. The government promised to bolster funding for public schools. She sought to bolster her confidence by practicing public speaking. The coach gave a motivational speech to bolster the team's morale before the game. Additional evidence was presented to bolster the case against the defendant. The new policy aims to bolster cybersecurity measures across the organization. The community rallied together to bolster support for the local food bank. Capacitate, it is a verb, to make someone capable of a particular axioit is a noun. Training programs were implemented to capacitate employees. The new training program is designed to capacitate employees with the latest skills. They invested in new technology to capacitate their production facilities. The workshop aims to capacitate teachers in using innovative teaching methods. The program provides scholarships to capacitate students from disadvantaged backgrounds. The hospital expanded its facilities to capacitate more patients during emergencies. The government initiative aims to capacitate small businesses with financial support. Volunteers capacitate local communities to respond effectively to natural disasters. Educational reforms are necessary to capacitate students for future challenges. The mentorship program helps capacitate young entrepreneurs in starting their own businesses. The project aims to capacitate farmers with sustainable agricultural practices. Catalyst, it is a noun, a substance that increases the rate of a chemical reaction without itself undergoing any permanent chemical change. The invention of the Internet was a catalyst for the digital revolution. It is a noun. She was the catalyst for change within the organization, inspiring others to innovate. The discovery of electricity was a catalyst for advancements in technology. His speech acted as a catalyst, galvanizing the community into action. The economic downturn served as a catalyst for restructuring the company. The new law acted as a catalyst for social reform in the country. The artist's work was a catalyst for a new artistic movement. Education is often seen as a catalyst for social mobility. The introduction of smartphones was a catalyst for the mobile app revolution. The protests served as a catalyst for political change in the region. Collaboration between scientists and engineers can act as a catalyst for groundbreaking discoveries. Cessation, it is a noun, the fact or process of ending or being brought to an end. The cessation of hostilities was welcomed by all parties involved. The ceasefire brought about a cessation of hostilities between the warring factions. The doctor advised complete cessation of smoking to improve his health. The company announced the cessation of operations due to financial difficulties. The treaty called for the cessation of all nuclear testing. His constant interruptions caused a cessation of the productive discussion. The storm's intensity led to the cessation of all outdoor activities. The cessation of rainfall resulted in a severe drought in the region. She experienced a cessation of pain after taking the prescribed medication. The cessation of funding from donors jeopardized the charity's projects. The cessation of the project disappointed many stakeholders invested in its success. Clarity, it is a noun, the quality of being clear, in particular. The clarity of the instructions ensured everyone understood the procedure. The teacher emphasized the importance of clarity in written communication. His explanation lacked clarity, leaving the audience confused. The new policy aims to provide clarity on the company's stance regarding ethical practices. The clear instructions helped everyone understand the task with clarity. She appreciated the clarity of the instructions provided by her supervisor. The clarity of the water in the lake allowed us to see the fish swimming beneath the surface. The author's clarity of thought made the complex subject accessible to all readers. The clarity of her voice carried across the auditorium during the speech. The artist's use of light and shadow enhanced the clarity of the painting. The scientist presented his findings with remarkable clarity, simplifying intricate concepts for his audience. Coalesce, it is a verb, come together to form one mass or whole. The separate factions coalesced to form a united front. Over time, their different perspectives began to coalesce into a unified vision. The merging companies aimed to coalesce their operations for greater efficiency. The group worked together to coalesce their ideas into a cohesive proposal. The diverse community began to coalesce around common goals. The artist used various colors to coalesce into a beautiful painting. The political parties attempted to coalesce their platforms ahead of the election. The coalition formed to coalesce efforts for environmental conservation. Their efforts to coalesce diverse interests led to a successful compromise. The team's chemistry allowed them to coalesce into a formidable force. The community's response to the disaster helped coalesce support for rebuilding efforts. Cohesive, it is an adjective, characterized by or causing cohesio. It is a noun. The team was highly cohesive and worked well together. The team demonstrated a cohesive strategy that led them to victory. A cohesive family unit provides a strong support system for its members. The essay lacked cohesive arguments, making it difficult to follow. The cohesive design of the building integrated modern and traditional elements seamlessly. Effective leadership is essential for maintaining a cohesive group dynamic. The cohesive nature of the community was evident during times of crisis. The band's music was characterized by its cohesive blend of different genres. A cohesive society values diversity while promoting unity among its citizens. The cohesive bond between teammates contributed to their success on the field. The cohesive effort of volunteers ensured the event ran smoothly. Commence, it is a verb, to begin, start. The meeting will commence at 10 a.m. The ceremony will commence promptly at 9 a.m. She took a deep breath before she commenced her speech. The construction of the new building is set to commence next month. He decided to commence his journey early in the morning. The meeting will commence with a brief introduction from the chairperson. They planned to commence negotiations with potential investors next week. The festivities will commence with a parade through the town square. The new semester will commence on September 1st. The play will commence its run at the theatre next Friday. The countdown clock will commence once all preparations are complete. Compensate, it is a verb, to make up for something unwelcome or unpleasant by exerting an opposite force or effect. The benefits compensate for the relatively low salary. The company offered to compensate employees for working overtime. She received compensation for the damage caused to her car in the accident. His dedication and hard work were compensated with a promotion. The athlete was compensated handsomely for endorsing the new sports drink. They tried to compensate for the delay by providing complimentary refreshments. The insurance policy will compensate you for any lost or stolen items. The artist's unique style was compensated with critical acclaim and high prices for their work. We must find a way to compensate for the environmental impact of our operations. His kind gesture was compensated with gratitude from the community. The company aims to compensate shareholders with steady dividends. Complement, it is a verb, to add to something, in a way that enhances or improves it, make perfect. The new initiative complements the existing programs. Her calm demeanor was a perfect complement to his energetic personality. The side salad was a nice complement to the main course. They hired a new employee to complement the existing team. His skills in finance were a valuable complement to her marketing expertise. The red curtains were chosen to complement the blue walls of the room. The necklace was a beautiful complement to her evening gown. The dessert was a sweet complement to the savory meal. The orchestra conductor ensured that each section played in perfect complement to the others. A good wine can be a perfect complement to a fine meal. His artistic flair was a great complement to the team's technical skills. Comprehensive, it is an adjective, complete, including all or nearly all elements or aspects of something. The report provided a comprehensive analysis of the situation. The report provided a comprehensive overview of the company's financial performance. She underwent a comprehensive medical examination before starting her new job. The school offers a comprehensive curriculum that prepares students for various careers. The insurance policy offers comprehensive coverage for both health and property. He wrote a comprehensive guidebook on traveling through Europe on a budget. The new employee received comprehensive training on company policies and procedures. The government launched a comprehensive plan to address homelessness in the city. The book provided a comprehensive history of the American Civil War. The museum offers a comprehensive collection of artifacts from ancient civilizations. The workshop covered a comprehensive range of topics related to digital marketing strategies. Conducive, it is an adjective, making a certain situation or outcome likely or possible. The quiet environment was conducive to studying. A quiet environment is conducive to studying effectively. Good communication among team members is conducive to productivity. The warm weather was conducive to outdoor activities like hiking and swimming. The company's flexible work policy is conducive to work-life balance. A positive attitude is conducive to a healthy mindset. The classroom environment should be conducive to learning for all students. The supportive atmosphere in the office was conducive to creativity. Effective time management is conducive to meeting deadlines. Clear guidelines are conducive to understanding expectations. Mutual respect among colleagues is conducive to a harmonious work environment. Consensus, it is a noun, general agreement. There was a consensus among experts on the issue. The committee reached a consensus on the best course of action. Consensus among the group was difficult to achieve due to conflicting opinions. They sought consensus among stakeholders before making a final decision. A consensus emerged that changes were needed to improve the project's outcome. The board members reached a consensus on the budget allocation for the next fiscal year. Consensus among family members was crucial in planning the reunion. The team leader encouraged open dialogue to reach a consensus on the project timeline. Consensus-building workshops were conducted to address community concerns. The political party struggled to achieve consensus on key policy issues. Consensus among scientists supported the theory of climate change caused by human activities. Constraint, it is a noun, A limitation or restrictio is a noun. Time constraints prevented a thorough investigation. Financial constraints forced them to delay their vacation plans. Time constraints limited their ability to complete the project on schedule. The contract included several constraints that affected their negotiation options. She felt constrained by the expectations placed upon her by society. Environmental constraints prevented them from building on the protected land. The team faced logistical constraints due to limited resources. Legal constraints required them to obtain permission before proceeding with the construction. Technological constraints hindered their ability to implement advanced features in the software. Personal constraints such as health issues affected her ability to participate in physical activities. The artist felt liberated when working outside traditional constraints, exploring new forms of expression. Contingent, it is an adjective, subject to chance. The success of the project is contingent on adequate funding. The success of the project was contingent upon securing adequate funding. His promotion was contingent on passing the certification exam. Attendance at the event was contingent upon RSVP confirmation. The team strategy was contingent on weather conditions being favorable. The agreement included contingent clauses based on future developments. The CEO's decision to expand operations was contingent on market research results. Their decision to move forward with the merger was contingent upon regulatory approval. The athlete's contract included contingent bonuses for achieving specific performance milestones. The school trip was contingent upon parental consent forms being submitted on time. The success of the expedition was contingent on the team's ability to navigate treacherous terrain. Contrary, it is an adjective, opposite in nature, direction, or meaning. Contrary to popular belief, the drug is not addictive. Contrary to expectations, she decided to decline the job offer. His actions were contrary to the rules established by the organization. The weather forecast was contrary to what was predicted, with unexpected sunshine. Contrary to popular belief, not all cats dislike water. The evidence presented was contrary to the defendant's alibi. Her opinion on the matter was contrary to that of her colleagues. His behavior was contrary to the principles he claimed to uphold. Contrary to previous years, this season's sales figures showed a decline. The politician's statements were contrary to the facts reported by the media. Contrary to the initial plan, they decided to postpone the event until next month. Converge, it is a verb, come together from different directions so as eventually to meet. The roads converge at the bridge. The two rivers converge at this point, forming a larger waterway. Ideas from different disciplines often converge to create innovative solutions. The paths of the runners will converge at the finish line. The roads converge into a single lane as you approach the city center. Over time, our interests and passions converge, shaping our career paths. The detective's investigation led him to a point where all the evidence converged. The conference will be a place where experts from various fields converge to discuss new research. Cultural influences converge in this vibrant neighborhood, creating a unique atmosphere. Technology and healthcare are beginning to converge, revolutionizing patient care. The stars seem to converge in the night sky, creating a breathtaking celestial display. Corroborate, it is a verb, confirm or give support to, a statement, theory, or finding. The witness corroborated the victim's account of the events. The witness's testimony corroborated the victim's account of the crime. The forensic evidence helped corroborate the suspect's alibi. His story was corroborated by multiple sources at the scene. Scientific studies have corroborated the effectiveness of the new treatment. The photographs served to corroborate their claim of property damage. The documents were used to corroborate the historical accuracy of the novel. The data from the experiment were used to corroborate the hypothesis. The video footage served to corroborate the eyewitness's description of the event. Experts were called in to corroborate the authenticity of the artwork. His findings were corroborated by subsequent research studies in the field. Criterion: it is a noun, a principle or standard by which something may be judged or decided. The main criterion for selection is academic excellence. Meeting deadlines is an important criterion for success in any job. The quality of the product is a key criterion for customer satisfaction. One criterion for admission to the program is a minimum GPA of 3.0. They used strict criteria to select the winner of the competition. Safety is a crucial criterion when choosing a new car. The committee evaluated the proposals based on several criteria. Understanding cultural diversity is a criterion for effective global leadership. His decision-making process includes ethical criteria to guide his choices. The company's decision to expand into new markets is based on economic criteria. The judge applied legal criteria to determine the outcome of the case. Culminate: it is a verb, reach a climax or point of highest development. The celebrations culminated in a spectacular fireworks display. Years of hard work culminated in her graduation from medical school. The negotiations between the two countries culminated in a peace treaty. The climactic scene in the movie culminated in a thrilling chase sequence. Their efforts culminated in the successful launch of the new product. The project will culminate in a presentation to stakeholders next week. The concert series will culminate in a grand finale performance. His years of training will culminate in competing at the Olympics. The research study will culminate in the publication of a groundbreaking paper. Their romantic relationship culminated in a beautiful wedding ceremony. The expedition will culminate in reaching the summit of the mountain. Decelerate: it is a verb, reduce or cause to reduce in speed. The car began to decelerate as it approached the traffic lights. He gently applied the brakes to decelerate the car as it approached the intersection. Economic growth began to decelerate in the third quarter of the year. The airplane started to decelerate as it prepared for landing. She felt the need to decelerate her hectic lifestyle to focus on her well-being. The company's expansion plans had to decelerate due to financial constraints. Efforts to decelerate climate change require global cooperation and action. The aging population could decelerate economic growth in the coming decades. The city implemented speed limits to encourage drivers to decelerate in residential areas. The coach advised the team to decelerate their pace to conserve energy for the final stretch. The new regulations aim to decelerate the rate of deforestation in the region. Defer: it is a verb, put off, an action or event, to a later time, postpone. The decision was deferred until further information was available. They decided to defer their vacation until the following year due to unexpected expenses. The board of directors agreed to defer the decision on the merger until after the annual meeting. He chose to defer his retirement plans in order to support his family. The student opted to defer enrollment in college for a year to travel abroad. The judge decided to defer sentencing until more evidence could be presented. The company will defer payment of bonuses until the end of the fiscal year. The athlete decided to defer surgery until after the season. They agreed to defer discussions on the controversial topic to a later date. The project manager suggested deferring the implementation of new software until the team was fully trained. Due to unforeseen circumstances, they had to defer the launch of the new product. Deleterious: it is an adjective, causing harm or damage. The chemical is deleterious to the environment. Smoking has deleterious effects on both lung health and overall well-being. The deleterious impact of pollution on the environment is becoming increasingly evident. His deleterious habits, such as excessive drinking, affected his relationships and career. The use of harmful pesticides has deleterious effects on crop yields and soil fertility. Lack of exercise and poor diet can have deleterious effects on cardiovascular health. The economic downturn had deleterious consequences for small businesses in the region. The company's decision to cut corners had a deleterious impact on product quality. Exposure to lead paint can have deleterious effects on children's cognitive development. Stress is known to have deleterious effects on mental and physical health. The introduction of invasive species has had deleterious effects on native wildlife populations. Delineate, it is a verb, describe or portray something precisely. The document clearly delineates the steps to be taken. The artist meticulously delineated each detail of the landscape in her painting. The report clearly delineated the responsibilities of each team member. The policy document delineated the guidelines for employee conduct. He used a marker to delineate the boundaries of the property on the map. The author's book delineates the history of ancient civilizations. The presentation will delineate the steps required to implement the new software system. The architect delineated the floor plan of the new office building. The coach delineated the team's strategy for the upcoming match. The professor will delineate the key concepts in the lecture tomorrow. She delineated her goals for the year ahead during the performance review. Depict, it is a verb, show or represent by a drawing, painting, or other art form. The mural depicts scenes from the city's history. The artist used vibrant colors to depict the sunset over the mountains. The film accurately depicted the struggles of immigrants adapting to a new culture. His novel vividly depicted life in a small fishing village. The photograph depicted a historic moment in political history. The painting depicted a scene from ancient mythology. The documentary series aims to depict the daily lives of people in remote regions. The play depicted themes of love and betrayal in a wartime setting. Her speech depicted the challenges faced by marginalized communities. The mural on the wall depicted scenes of local folklore and traditions. The poem beautifully depicted the changing seasons in rural landscapes. Deplete, it is a verb, use up the supply or resources of. The expedition depleted their stock of supplies. The prolonged drought caused the reservoir to deplete rapidly. Overfishing has depleted the fish population in this area. Continuous use of natural resources without replenishment will deplete them. The marathon runner felt his energy deplete as he approached the finish line. His savings began to deplete after he lost his job. The intense study schedule depleted her mental energy. The prolonged illness depleted her strength, but she remained resilient. The company's stockpile of raw materials was depleted during the busy season. Deforestation has depleted the natural habitat of many wildlife species. Continuous stress can deplete the body's immune system. Derive, it is a verb, obtain something from a specified source. The word is derived from Latin. She derives great joy from spending time with her family. The company derives its income primarily from advertising revenue. He was able to derive the answer to the math problem using basic principles. The novel's title is derived from a famous poem by the author. The team's confidence derived from their recent string of victories. They derive inspiration from nature for their artistic creations. The chef derives satisfaction from creating new and innovative dishes. The law is derived from centuries of legal precedent and legislative action. The philosopher's theories are derived from his observations of human behavior. The country derives its cultural richness from its diverse population. Deteriorate, it is a verb, become progressively worse. The patient's condition deteriorated rapidly. The condition of the old building continued to deteriorate over the years. Her health began to deteriorate after she stopped exercising regularly. The weather started to deteriorate as dark clouds gathered overhead. Relations between the two countries began to deteriorate following the border dispute. Without maintenance, the roads in the rural area quickly deteriorated. The patient's mental health began to deteriorate due to stress and anxiety. The quality of the product deteriorated after the manufacturer switched suppliers. His financial situation continued to deteriorate as debts piled up. The peace agreement started to deteriorate as both sides accused each other of violations. Over time, neglect caused the historic landmark to deteriorate beyond repair. Deviation, it is a noun, the action of departing from an established course or accepted standard. Any deviation from the plan needs to be justified. The experiment's results showed a significant deviation from the expected outcome. Her decision to pursue art was a deviation from her family's tradition of medicine. The flight had to make a deviation from its original route due to bad weather. The company's policy prohibits any deviation from safety procedures. His behavior exhibited a deviation from his usual calm demeanor. The athlete's performance showed a deviation from his usual level of skill. The market's volatility was a deviation from the predicted stability. The teacher noticed a deviation in the student's handwriting compared to previous assignments. The software engineer identified a deviation in the program's code that caused errors. The committee discussed the deviation in project timelines and its impact on overall progress. Dichotomy, it is a noun, a division or contrast between two things that are or are represented as being opposed or entirely different. There is a dichotomy between theory and practice. The debate highlighted the ideological dichotomy between conservatism and liberalism. His personality exhibited a dichotomy between his public charisma and private introversion. The novel explored the dichotomy between good and evil through its complex characters. The dichotomy between theory and practice often arises in academic discussions. The artist's work explores the dichotomy between chaos and order. The dichotomy between urban and rural lifestyles is a topic of ongoing debate. The dichotomy between tradition and modernity shapes cultural identity. The dichotomy between rich and poor is evident in the stark contrast of living conditions. The dichotomy between freedom and security is a challenge faced by policymakers. The dichotomy between work and personal life is a struggle for many professionals. Diminish, it is a verb, make or become less. The pain will gradually diminish. The company's profits began to diminish after the economic downturn. Her enthusiasm for the project did not diminish despite the challenges. The doctor assured her that the swelling would diminish with proper treatment. Over time, his influence in the company began to diminish as younger leaders emerged. The impact of the policy change on productivity was expected to diminish over time. The quality of the product started to diminish after the manufacturer cut costs. The excitement of the crowd did not diminish even as the concert came to an end. His respect for authority diminished after witnessing the corruption firsthand. The effectiveness of the medication diminished after prolonged use. The value of the antique furniture has diminished over the years due to wear and tear. Discern, it is a verb, perceive or recognize, something. It is difficult to discern any pattern in the data. She could discern the faint sound of music coming from the distant party. It was difficult to discern his true intentions from his vague statements. The detective was able to discern the suspect's lies during questioning. She could discern a change in his mood from the way he spoke. The hiker could discern the trail markers through the dense fog. As a teacher, she could discern the potential in each of her students. He struggled to discern the difference between the two similar-looking paintings. The judge had to discern the truth from conflicting witness testimonies. She could discern the outline of the mountains against the evening sky. The scientist was able to discern patterns in the data that others had overlooked. Disparity, it is a noun, a great difference. There is a significant disparity in the quality of healthcare between urban and rural areas. The economic disparity between the rich and the poor continues to widen. There is a significant disparity in access to healthcare services between urban and rural areas. The gender pay disparity remains a contentious issue in many industries. The study highlighted disparities in educational achievement based on socioeconomic status. The government's policies aim to reduce disparities in income distribution. There is a noticeable disparity in living standards between different regions of the country. The report identified disparities in sentencing based on race within the criminal justice system. The organization's efforts focus on addressing disparities in educational opportunities for minority students. The survey revealed disparities in attitudes towards climate change among different age groups. Efforts to bridge the digital divide aim to reduce disparities in access to technology. Disseminate, it is a verb, spread, something, especially information, widely. The organization disseminates information about the disease. The organization aims to disseminate information about climate change to raise awareness. Social media platforms are powerful tools to disseminate news and updates quickly. The government agency disseminated guidelines to help businesses comply with new regulations. The teacher disseminated the assignment instructions to the students at the beginning of class. The research findings were disseminated through academic journals and conferences. The charity's goal is to disseminate food and supplies to communities affected by natural disasters. The virus can disseminate rapidly in densely populated areas. The politician used public speeches to disseminate their campaign promises to voters. The company used email newsletters to disseminate product updates to customers. The NGO partnered with local organizations to disseminate health education materials in rural areas. Diverge, it is a verb, of a road, route, or line, separate from another route and go in a different direction. It is a noun. The two paths diverge at the edge of the woods. The paths of the two friends began to diverge after they graduated from college. The opinions of the committee members began to diverge as they discussed the proposal. The river diverges into two smaller streams as it flows through the valley. Their paths diverged at the crossroads, each going their separate ways. The artist's new style diverged from his previous works, surprising critics. Economic forecasts diverge on the impact of the new tax policy. The team's strategies started to diverge as they approached the final stages of the project. The branches of the family tree diverge into several distinct lineages. The road signs indicated that the two-lane highway would soon diverge into separate routes. Their interpretations of the novel diverge significantly, leading to lively discussions. Efficacy, it is a noun, the ability to produce a desired or intended result. The efficacy of the new treatment has yet to be proved. It is a noun. The efficacy of the new drug was demonstrated through rigorous clinical trials. He questioned the efficacy of using traditional teaching methods in a digital age. The efficacy of the marketing campaign was evident in the increase in sales. The therapist discussed the efficacy of different treatment options for anxiety disorders. The efficacy of the sunscreen was tested under various weather conditions. The efficacy of the vaccine in preventing the spread of the disease was widely debated. They conducted experiments to measure the efficacy of the new cleaning product. The efficacy of the law in reducing crime rates was a topic of heated discussion. The efficacy of the new agricultural techniques was evident in higher crop yields. The team assessed the efficacy of the software update based on user feedback. Elucidate. It is a verb. Make something clear. Explain. The teacher elucidated the complex concepts to the students. The professor used diagrams to elucidate the complex scientific concept. His explanation helped elucidate the reasons behind the economic downturn. The detective's investigation gradually elucidated the sequence of events leading to the crime. The documentary aims to elucidate the cultural traditions of the indigenous tribe. The author's memoir elucidates the challenges she faced growing up in poverty. The teacher used examples from everyday life to elucidate the principles of physics. The therapist's sessions helped elucidate the underlying causes of her anxiety. The presentation will elucidate the benefits of adopting renewable energy sources. The consultant was hired to elucidate the company's strategic goals to the board members. The panel discussion will elucidate the implications of the new environmental policy. Embellish. It is a verb. Make something more attractive by the addition of decorative details or features. The story was embellished with humorous anecdotes. She used colorful embroidery to embellish the edges of the dress. He tends to embellish his stories with exaggerated details to make them more entertaining. The artist chose to embellish the mural with intricate patterns and motifs. The chef used edible flowers to embellish the dessert plates. The author's prose is known for its ability to embellish mundane events into captivating tales. The interior designer used luxurious fabrics to embellish the living room decor. The singer embellished the song with elaborate vocal runs and trills. The architect plans to embellish the building's facade with ornate carvings. She decided to embellish her resume with additional certifications to enhance her qualifications. The playwright embellished historical events to create a more compelling narrative for the play. Empirical. It is an adjective, based on, concerned with, or verifiable by observation or experience rather than theory or pure logic. The hypothesis needs to be tested with empirical research. The scientist relied on empirical data to support her hypothesis. Empirical evidence suggests a strong correlation between exercise and mental health. The study aimed to provide empirical support for the effectiveness of the new drug. His argument lacked empirical proof and was dismissed by the committee. Empirical research methods involve systematic observation and experimentation. The psychologist conducted empirical studies to understand human behavior. The company made decisions based on empirical analysis of market trends. Empirical studies have shown that early intervention improves educational outcomes. The Economist presented empirical findings on the impact of inflation on consumer spending. Empirical research is essential for validating theories and understanding real-world phenomena. Endorse. It is a verb. Declare one's public approval or support of. The policy was endorsed by several prominent politicians. The celebrity endorsed the new perfume, leading to a surge in sales. The company decided to endorse the candidate for city council. The athlete signed a lucrative deal to endorse a sports drink. She received an endorsement from a prominent environmental organization. The magazine editor decided to endorse the book for its compelling narrative. The committee voted to endorse the proposal after thorough review. His decision to endorse the charity event raised awareness and funds. The professor agreed to endorse the student's research paper for publication. The doctor's endorsement of the treatment plan gave the patient confidence in its effectiveness. The union decided to endorse the new labor agreement after negotiations. Enhance. it is a verb, intensify, increase, or further improve the quality, value, or extent of. The software is designed to enhance the user experience. Adding fresh herbs can enhance the flavor of a dish. The new software update aims to enhance user experience with improved features. Regular exercise can enhance physical fitness and overall well-being. She used makeup to enhance her natural beauty before the photo shoot. The company implemented training programs to enhance employee skills. The architect proposed renovations to enhance the building's energy efficiency. The teacher provided constructive feedback to enhance student learning. The partnership with a reputable brand will enhance the company's reputation. Effective communication skills can enhance interpersonal relationships. The government launched initiatives to enhance public safety and security. Ephemeral, it is an adjective, lasting for a very short time. Fashion trends are often ephemeral. The beauty of a sunset is ephemeral, lasting only a few minutes before darkness falls. His fame in the music industry proved to be ephemeral, fading quickly after his one-hit song. The butterfly's delicate wings are a symbol of its ephemeral existence. The joy of receiving the award was ephemeral, replaced by the pressure of maintaining success. Youth is often seen as an ephemeral phase, fleeting and transient. The artist's installations are known for their ephemeral nature, often disappearing after the exhibition. The morning mist created an ephemeral atmosphere, dissolving as the sun rose. The beauty of cherry blossoms is celebrated for its ephemeral bloom, lasting only a few weeks each spring. The happiness she felt was ephemeral, clouded by the reality of her difficult circumstances. The joy of a reunion with loved ones can be ephemeral, overshadowed by the impending farewell. Equitable, it is an adjective, fair and impartial. The organization aims to provide equitable access to resources. The company strives to create an equitable workplace where all employees are treated fairly. A fair distribution of resources is essential for an equitable society. The judge ensured an equitable division of property in the divorce settlement. The organization aims to promote equitable access to education for all children. The government implemented policies to achieve equitable distribution of wealth. An equitable resolution was reached through negotiations between the two parties. The coach emphasized the importance of equitable playing time for all team members. The committee discussed strategies to achieve equitable representation of diverse perspectives. The teacher assigned group projects to promote equitable collaboration among students. Access to healthcare should be equitable, regardless of socioeconomic status. Eradicate, it is a verb, destroy completely, put an end to. Efforts are being made to eradicate poverty. The government launched a campaign to eradicate polio through widespread vaccination. Efforts to eradicate poverty require comprehensive social and economic policies. The new pesticide was developed to eradicate pests that threaten crop yields. The organization's mission is to eradicate hunger in impoverished communities. Scientists are working tirelessly to eradicate infectious diseases like malaria. The company implemented strict hygiene protocols to eradicate the spread of bacteria. The community mobilized to eradicate invasive species threatening native wildlife. Education is crucial to eradicate ignorance and promote understanding. The non-profit organization aims to eradicate human trafficking through advocacy and support. The global community is united in efforts to eradicate discrimination based on race and gender. Escalate, it is a verb, increase rapidly. The conflict escalated into a full-scale war. Tensions between the two countries continue to escalate, raising concerns about a potential conflict. The cost of living in the city has continued to escalate over the past decade. The argument started over a minor disagreement but quickly escalated into a shouting match. The company decided to escalate the project timeline to meet the client's urgent deadline. The wildfire escalated rapidly due to strong winds and dry conditions. The teacher intervened to prevent the situation from escalating further in the classroom. The conflict between management and labor unions escalated into a full-blown strike. His reckless behavior caused the situation to escalate beyond control. The dispute over the property boundary escalated into a legal battle. The political unrest in the region has escalated, leading to widespread protests. Evoke, it is a verb, bring or recall to the conscious mind. The painting evokes memories of childhood. The painting's vibrant colors evoke feelings of joy and nostalgia. Her words were carefully chosen to evoke sympathy from the audience. The fragrance of freshly baked bread can evoke memories of childhood. The film's soundtrack is designed to evoke suspense and tension. His poem aims to evoke a sense of wonder about the natural world. The artist's sculptures evoke emotions of sadness and introspection. The novel's descriptive passages evoke the sights and sounds of the bustling city. The old photograph evokes memories of family gatherings and celebrations. The play's powerful dialogue evokes strong reactions from the audience. The music from the opera house is known to evoke passion and romance among listeners. Exacerbate, it is a verb, make, a problem, bad situation, or negative feeling, worse. The new regulations have exacerbated the problem. His criticism only served to exacerbate the situation, causing tension among team members. The economic downturn has exacerbated unemployment rates in the region. Her allergies were exacerbated by exposure to pollen during the spring. The decision to cut funding for public services will exacerbate inequality in the community. His reckless driving exacerbated the already dangerous road conditions. The conflict between the two rival factions has only served to exacerbate tensions in the region. Lack of sleep can exacerbate existing health problems. The company's decision to delay payments has exacerbated cash flow issues for small suppliers. The use of harsh chemicals can exacerbate skin irritation for individuals with sensitive skin. Miscommunication among team members can exacerbate misunderstandings and hinder productivity. Exhaustive, it is an adjective, including or considering all elements or aspects, fully comprehensive. The study provides an exhaustive analysis of the issue. The detective conducted an exhaustive search of the crime scene for clues. She compiled an exhaustive list of references for her research paper. The company conducted an exhaustive review of its financial records. The teacher provided an exhaustive explanation of the mathematical theorem. The lawyer conducted an exhaustive investigation to gather evidence for the case. The author conducted exhaustive interviews with eyewitnesses for the article. The chef prepared an exhaustive menu for the wedding reception. The athlete's exhaustive training regimen prepared him for the championship. The government conducted an exhaustive survey to gather public opinion on the new policy. The committee conducted an exhaustive review of the candidate's qualifications before making a decision. Expedite, it is a verb, make, an action or process, happen sooner or be accomplished more quickly. Measures were taken to expedite the approval process. The manager decided to expedite the shipping process to meet the customer's urgent request. The government implemented measures to expedite the approval of building permits. She asked her assistant to expedite the paperwork for the upcoming meeting. The doctor recommended surgery to expedite the patient's recovery from the injury. The construction crew worked overtime to expedite the completion of the new bridge. The company hired additional staff to expedite order processing during the holiday season. The committee agreed to expedite the review process for the new policy proposal. The diplomat worked to expedite negotiations between the two warring factions. The software update was released to expedite the resolution of bugs reported by users. He used a shortcut to expedite his commute to work, avoiding heavy traffic. Feasible, it is an adjective, possible to do easily or conveniently. The plan is feasible with the current resources. After careful analysis, they concluded that the project was feasible within the allocated budget. The engineer proposed a feasible solution to improve the efficiency of the manufacturing process. The committee reviewed various proposals and selected the most feasible option for the new community center. The team brainstormed ideas to determine which ones were feasible to implement within the given timeframe. She outlined a feasible plan to expand the business into international markets. The doctor assured her that surgery was a feasible option to treat the condition. The City Council considered the feasibility of building a new public transportation system. They conducted a feasibility study to assess the viability of launching a new product line. The architect presented feasible designs for the renovation of the historic building. The entrepreneur pitched a feasible business model to potential investors. Fluctuate, it is a verb, rise and fall irregularly in number or amount. The prices of commodities fluctuate throughout the year. Stock prices often fluctuate based on market conditions and investor sentiment. His mood seemed to fluctuate throughout the day, sometimes cheerful and other times somber. The temperature in the region fluctuates dramatically between summer and winter. Sales figures for the product fluctuate monthly due to seasonal demand. The river's water levels fluctuate with the changing seasons and rainfall. Her weight fluctuates depending on her diet and exercise routine. Interest rates on mortgages can fluctuate over time based on economic factors. The athlete's performance on the field fluctuated from game to game. Prices of commodities like oil and gold fluctuate in response to global market trends. Public opinion on the issue fluctuates depending on recent events and media coverage. Formulate, it is a verb, create or devise methodically, a strategy or a proposal. The committee will formulate a new policy. The scientists worked together to formulate a hypothesis based on their research findings. The chef formulated a new recipe using locally sourced ingredients. The committee members met to formulate a plan for the upcoming fundraising event. The pharmacist carefully formulated the medication to ensure its effectiveness and safety. The company formulated a strategy to increase market share in the competitive industry. She took time to formulate her response to the difficult question during the interview. The artist formulated a concept for her next series of paintings inspired by nature. The engineer formulated a design for the new bridge to withstand extreme weather conditions. The professor formulated the syllabus for the semester, outlining the topics to be covered. The government agency formulated new regulations to protect endangered species. Foster, it is a verb, encourage or promote the development of something, typically something regarded as good. The program is designed to foster community spirit. The non-profit organization works tirelessly to foster community development in rural areas. Effective communication is key to foster a positive work environment. The couple decided to foster a child while waiting to adopt. The university aims to foster a culture of innovation among its students. The mentor provided guidance to foster the professional growth of her mentee. The government implemented policies to foster economic growth and job creation. The teacher used group activities to foster collaboration among her students. The company launched initiatives to foster diversity and inclusion in the workplace. The coach's leadership helped foster team spirit among the players. The shelter provides a safe environment to foster animals awaiting adoption. Fundamental, it is an adjective, forming a necessary base or core, of central importance. Understanding these principles is fundamental to the study of physics. Understanding grammar is fundamental to learning a new language. The scientist proposed a fundamental theory to explain the phenomenon. Respect for human rights is fundamental to a democratic society. The company's values are based on fundamental principles of integrity and transparency. The fundamental goal of education is to empower individuals with knowledge and skills. The Constitution guarantees fundamental rights to all citizens. The engineer focused on solving the fundamental problem with the design. The artist explored fundamental concepts of light and shadow in her paintings. The economist discussed the fundamental factors influencing the global economy. The coach emphasized fundamental techniques during practice to improve the team's performance. Heterogeneous, it is an adjective, diverse in character or content. The population of the city is highly heterogeneous. The classroom was filled with students from diverse backgrounds, creating a heterogeneous group. The museum's collection included a heterogeneous mix of art from different time periods. The committee was composed of members with heterogeneous opinions on the issue. The city's population is heterogeneous, comprising people of various ethnicities and cultures. The team was a heterogeneous mix of experienced veterans and young rookies. The company's workforce was heterogeneous, with employees from different departments collaborating on projects. The soil composition in the region was heterogeneous, affecting crop yields. The non-profit organization provided services to a heterogeneous group of individuals in need. The research team analyzed data from a heterogeneous sample of participants. The neighborhood is known for its heterogeneous architecture, blending modern buildings with historic structures.